Good evening, everybody. Welcome to week 10 of this week 9 even, I should say, this TGP2 season. 6 races to go, and tonight we are heading to the Americas because we have a race here at COTA, and then we will be in Brazil a little bit later on. So we've got 6 races to go, and the top 2 in the championship, Camababo and Wet Lemons, are not here tonight. So this opens up a potential championship challenge for Daniel P. Wheelnut, or possibly Chris Johnson, or possibly Theo Hickman. But they will probably need to win both races if they want to get themselves up there, or at least get a podium in both races. But it presents a huge opportunity for them before the final 4 races of the season next week. Roy is alongside me, and Roy, do you think any of them can get amongst it and get up to Camababo and Wet Lemons and get in the championship fight?
Firstly, good evening. Hello, everyone. I think it is a huge opportunity for Wheelnut and Theo Hickman. Also Chris, as you say, but I think his pace has been lacking just a bit. It just hasn't really happened for him, especially in qualifying. He is helped a little bit right now because, of course, as you said, Camababo and Wet Lemons are not actually here, but he's still only fifth at the moment. Still
Yeah,
another run left in the session to go. But now Chris normally does better in the races, but I don't know. It feels like he's just a solid driver on this game, but perhaps not a title contender. That may have to wait until F1 2022. But it looks at the moment anyway that Wheelnut and Theo Hickman are making the absolute most of it.
definitely, yeah. So it's Camababo's got 226 points in this championship right now. We've got Wetlands on 205. And Wheelnut is 51 points off the championship lead on 175. And then we have Chris Johnson on 159 and Theo Hickman on 156. So Wheelnut is quite close. You know, like I say, if he can win both races, he gets himself right in there for the final 4 races of the season.
Yeah, so like it's still all to play for, really. So they just need to make the absolute most of this week. USA and Brazil, or Sao Paulo, I should say. It was recently renamed the Sao Paulo Grand Prix. But Austin can be a bit of a tricky one. It's quite easy to lose the car in the S's, and also, of course, track limits are crucial around here. There are plenty of places where you can just take a little bit too much curb, and the game doesn't like when you attack the track. So, unfortunately, warnings will be handed out, as will penalties. But as we see Parsa then in the final sector, round this penultimate corner, which is quite difficult to get right. You need to take as much speed as possible, but don't you dare use the curb. And Parsa crosses the line, and he's up to fifth.
Well, he is 4 tenths off Bazet in 4th place, but he did not have a great end to that lap, did he? He was all very wide going to turn 19. Possibly lost a couple of tenths there, but probably not enough for him to get ahead of Bazet. So that's a 5th place for Parson right now. Just watching as Hickman comes into the pit lane. So that's it for Hickman then. Game over for him. Wheelnut has gone 800ths quicker in the first sector, so it looks like he's on an improvement. Bray Grylls, can he possibly take a shock pole? As Parser's actually gone again, and he's 3 tenths up in the first sector.
So I wonder then, did Parsa potentially save some energy, or will he run out at the end of this lap? Either way, it's a bit of a compromised run for Parsa because he will have slightly more worn tyres as well, which will maybe knock a tenth or two off his potential best. But Wheelnut, he's still up on his time, less than a tenth, but still, he's already 4 tenths clear of Theo, but who knows, that may come crucial towards the end, or well, we're at the end now, so let's just see.
Oh,
As
Parser's half a second up in the middle sector here, so Wheelnut's probably going to improve as time fractionally, but Parser can make a huge improvement.
Looked like a fairly decent line there from Wheelnut in that penultimate corner, was just within the white lines. He crosses the line. He's 400ths down, but Parsa then, he's around the penultimate corner, through the final corner, hits the apex nicely, across the line. DRS open for a brief moment, and it's P3. I think he'll be a bit more happy with that. I mean, he's nowhere near pole, so I think had he got the run in on lap 1, I think front row was definitely on the cards. But Blair Grills crosses the line, and Blair Grills takes a front row position. Chris Johnson then, what can he do around the penultimate corner? He can, okay, looked like he went over Cold Mars' interpretation of the track limits, but he crosses the line now, and Chris Johnson improves by 0.4 of a second, but stays 6th. M. Shep has invalidated his lap. Mick Schumacher is not going to improve. Stereogram improves his time, but not his position. Jacko crashed out earlier in the session. Cena has a qualifying ban, so he will start 16th. And Kaya had a strange, seemingly internet-related issue, which resulted in his car turning into an AI, stopping imminently on the circuit, and being disqualified. So that's why Kaya will start at the back. So he'll be looking to make progress as the race progresses. Actually, if he's back, has he returned to the session?
I think he did. I think he returned, yeah. So that is that's Wheelnut's 3rd pole of the season, and what a time to get pole. 3/10 quicker than Blair Grills in that session, and Hickman, don't know what happened, but he invalidated, so he had to pit. Obviously must have had fuel to finish, to go for another lap, and it's cost him a front row.
So Wheelnut then with brilliant lap to take him 3/10 clear of the rest of the field, with Blair Grills an excellent P2. He'll be looking to move into the lead at the start of the race. Theo Hickman is in P3. Maybe would have wanted more, but it's certainly not a terrible position to start in. Parsa will be happy enough, I'd say, with 4th, with Baza in P5. Chris Johnson's up in 6th, with M. Shep following in P7. Sarah Sports and Mike Noon are 8th and 9th, with Indecisive Mackie rounding at the top 10. Mick Schumacher's 11th, followed by Mr. John, Red Bull Kim, Stereogram, Jacko, who did not complete the session, Cena with his qualifying ban, and Kaya completes the lineup.
So, if Wheelnut wins this, he will be in the 200-point mark, and he'll be very close to 2nd place in the championship, actually, but still got quite a bit of a way to go. He'll have to probably, as I say, get a good result in the 2nd race of the night to get up near to the lead, but he can get himself right involved in the battle as we see clear skies for this race, a dry race ahead, as the drivers all get ready on the grid and get ready for that run to turn 1 up that hill, of course, which can be quite tricky, can't it?
It can indeed, and I'm sure the many spectators, including Megan Thee Stallion, will be enjoying this race as it gets underway. Just a few seconds left to go, and the lights start to illuminate on the gantry. We are away in the USA, and it looks like a pretty decent start from Blair Grills. They're pretty much level heading into turn 1. It's a brilliant start from Parsa behind, banging wheels with Theo there, as Blair Grills goes down the inside, and he takes the lead of the race. So Blair Grills then up into P1. Wheelnut not with the best start. Parsa is now running in P3 as we have a crash.
It was Blair Grills. He lost it. Dropped it as he was exiting, going through the corner with the traction, and he's out the race already from the lead. He made such a good start, but then throws it in the wall.
I'm not even sure I've really seen a car crash there. It's certainly a very rare place to crash, but Blair Grills then took the lead at the start, and he's immediately crashed. And Parsa is now up into P3 with Theo Hickman following behind in P3. So Wheelnut then, after making a fairly poor start, is now back up into the lead, exactly where he wanted to be. Theo has quite the run now on Parsa and has quite a lot of straight line speed, perhaps due to battery deployment. But Theo then breezes his way past the Ferrari of Parsa, and actually Parsa fights back around the outside, but Theo is not really having any of it. Parsa is still there. He's got the inside line, and I think he'll give the same treatment to the Williams of Theo. But Theo then slots in behind. Will he dive up the inside? Yes, he will. So Theo Hickman then having a brilliant battle with Parsa. And will they be side by side going through here? No, they will not. So Theo then wrangles his way up into P2.
Superb battling between Theo and Parsa there as Chris Johnson gets into 5th place ahead. Oh wow, and Cena goes for a wild dive on his teammate there, Shepard. He goes off the track, and actually he touches, Cena tries to rejoin, and he's all over the place, Cena, right now, as he tries to find a safe place to rejoin. He was lucky not to make further contact there, but here's Parsec going back for Hickman for second place. Hickman's trying to defend, but Parsec very late on the brakes on the inside. Is he going to go flying off? He does, and Hickman goes back ahead.
And will Bazza get the run? No, he won't. He's a bit too far behind, but Theo then is back ahead of Parsa, as you said. So the two of these, the more they battle, the more good news it is for Daniel P. Wheelnut out in the lead of the race. He's now got a 2.3 second lead as Mr. John is out of the race. I think we may have a multi-car collision here. I think Mike Noon has also been involved. I don't know if it was a separate incident or not, but
it's a
full safety car. The curb has a firework lodged in it. It's sparking away rather spectacularly.
It's an absolutely massive crash, by the way, for Mr. John there. I think he's got no wheels on the left side of his car there. And Hickman's been given a penalty. And I noticed that there was some overtaking going on just as the safety car was deployed. And Hickman's actually been given a 5-second penalty now for ignoring a yellow flag. So presumably he should have given the position back to Parsec at the time the safety car was deployed, and he hasn't done that, and he's going to have to serve a 5-second penalty when he pits.
Now, if you're Theo, do you pit now?
Probably.
Yeah.
Especially with that penalty, surely you'll pit now with that penalty. But
lap 2 penalty, reduced field. Other drivers are certainly going to pit. So I mean, worst case scenario, I think he'll be 14th with a pit stop. Now, I think Daniel has the harder decision to make, and does he opt for the pit lane? He does indeed.
Yeah.
Theo clobbers the bollard, but makes his way into the pits. Bazza and Chris Johnson also pit. Now Cena stays out. Now he kind of had to because his teammate was ahead of him. So Cena in the AlphaTauri, he is on softs. I was kind of wondering if he was on an alternate strategy, but Cena and Indecisive Mackie then opting to stay out, as does Stereogram and Kaya. So those are the drivers.
Wheelnut is going to get out ahead, and Cena's been disqualified from the session for ignoring the yellow flag.
He's missed the
safety car.
He didn't see it,
didn't he? And Indecisive's just coming up to it now. Well, that's the second time this season that somebody has gone past the safety car when it's been deployed. Dickman done it earlier in the season in Baku.
He must not have seen it. The red car must have blended in with the paint on the side of the track, and well, I suppose the orange lights aren't very distinctive against red, so maybe Mercedes and CrowdStrike should look into that. But that's
unfortunate.
Taking a sting out of this race, because Cena has a good deal of pace normally. I mean, he made his way up about 10 positions prior to that safety car, and it would have been interesting to see how that race would have developed for him. Because he would have had fresher tyres later on, and potentially with the second safety car could have really made use of it. But we see.
Well, we've got Kaya. Yeah, it's because Kaya is in 5th place, but he's not actually here. And in fact, he's stopped on the track now. I hope this isn't going to give penalties to everybody. I don't know if Kaya's actually really here, or if he's...
I've been told he's backed out.
He's backed out of the session, okay.
I believe so, yeah. So,
and it looks like nobody's getting penalties for it, which is good to see.
Yeah, I think sometimes you can kind of play around with ghost cars behind the safety car and... move your way past them. I think.
Hang on a minute. Pass has passed Wheelnut.
Oh, okay. Well, that's.
No, that definitely shouldn't have happened. That has just happened a few seconds ago, and Parsa hasn't been given a penalty for it.
Now, did Wheelnut go off the track?
Possibly. I wasn't there. I'm gonna say I wasn't watching at the time, but I suppose that is a possibility. And that might be why no penalty is being awarded or issued to Parsec. So Parsec is actually going to restart this race in the net lead. Stereogram and Indecisive ahead, who are yet to pit. Bazza in a net 3rd, Chris Johnson in a net 4th, Hickman in a net 5th after saving that penalty. So, Parsec and Cena both causing a bit of drama here, and is Parsec slowing down to let Wheelnut back through yet? Oh, there's all confusion going on.
I mean, I think if Parsec moves over at the start, at the restart, then I think, it's on Parsec. But if Wheelnut did go off the track or have a bit of a spin or something, then I suppose Parsa is entitled to overtake him. So, as he nearly overtakes Stereogram there, he seems to be careful of the cars backing off and warming their brakes up behind the safety car. But that is a strange one, and annoyingly, we're probably not actually going to get an answer to that until at least the end of this race.
Seeing here, Cena has reacted to that safety car moment. His sister came into his room, so he wasn't looking, and passed the safety car. So choosing not to take responsibility there, blaming an innocent party, and well, it's terrible things happen for Cena. What a shame. What's your thoughts about that, Roy?
Well, should never really take your eyes off the screen, especially when you're going through the S's at this track. Kind of requires full attention, but yeah. So maybe when you glance back at the screen, yeah, the red car blended in with the red paint, but that is unfortunate for the driver representing the small island nation of Barbados. But Parsa then has the net lead, but at the moment that doesn't really matter because the on-track lead is held by Indecisive Mackie.
Yeah. So I don't think I've ever seen Indecisive Mackie at the front of a pack for a safety car restart. I have to say, it's going to be interesting to see how he handles this. And of course, it's also going to be interesting to see if Parsa does move over for Wheelnut. But Indecisive is backing him right up. Safety car's just getting into the pit lane now. And it's going to be interesting to see how quickly they can clear these two cars, the likes of Parsa and Wheelnut. But will Wheelnut want to snatch back that lead, which he thinks he deserves? Let's find out.
As Mackie then decides to floor it out of the final corner, which is maybe a slightly predictable place to do the restart. But Wheelnut then has a huge run on Parsa and is immediately up the inside. Now, was he let through? Oh, absolutely not, because Parsa stays around the outside. So I don't think Parsa wants to accept any responsibility for what happened behind that safety car. I mean, it may not have been his fault, so who knows. But Parsa then with a solid restart. Now he needs to get his way past Stereogram and not have any issues. He should be able to go around the outside here, and then he'll have the inside for the next corner if Stereogram doesn't turn in, which he doesn't. The space is given, and Parsa then is able to move up into P2 on track. Stereogram is still there though, he hasn't let him go, so Wheelnut then could get a run on both of them as all sorts of carnage is happening behind.
Unbelievable battling going on. Chris Johnson hit the back of Bazza, so he's got damage and he spun and he's collided with someone. He's out. He's out of the race. He had front wing damage, so he's fallen way back in the pack, and it was causing chaos behind. The drivers were trying to get through. It's his Parsa now going to go for Stereogram, but here comes Wheelnut on the inside out of nowhere, and he gets Stereogram as well and snatches the position.
And somehow Parsa is still behind, as actually Stereogram goes back up the inside.
Wheelnut's gone wide.
Yeah, I think Stereogram maybe pushed him a bit wide there. I think Stereogram's getting quite aggressive now that he's running in P2. But Parsa then side by side with Wheelnut through this fast, flat out section. But Wheelnut takes a bit too much curb, unsettles the car, and Parsa has the advantage as things stand. But Stereogram, he is a little bit slower than the drivers behind him, and the drivers are struggling to get past him. It seems they don't really know what kind of lines he's going to take, but Stereogram is running out of deployment, and I don't know why Parsa isn't using all of his to get past the Williams driver. He tries to go around the outside. I think he just braked so much later. I don't even think he was trying to overtake there. But Parsa then, he's checking up behind Stereogram. He doesn't know how to pass him.
It's incredible. I did not expect a full lap to go by without Stereogram losing a position, but now he runs wide and Parsa will go through, and will Wheelnut go through as well? Stereogram, he touched him! That's set up for Wheelnut's championship chances.
Wheelnut then, he took too much speed. Stereogram checked up in the middle of the corner. Jacko is also off in the Alfa Romeo. He's managed to get back on track before Wheelnut. Wheelnut is now behind the Haas of Red Bull Kim.
Is side by side going for the lead here with Indecisive, and he's easily got that lead, and Bazza gets past Stereogram as well, so absolute chaos. Got Wheelnut down in 11th now, Jacko in 10th, and you know what, I think there was a bit of collision possibly with Hickman, with Jacko there, but look at Hickman and Stereogram and Sayer Sports. Sayer Sports going to try and get both of them if he's late on the brakes, like what Wheelnut did on the previous lap. Can he do it? Tight into the corner, but he's going to get it on corner exit.
So Theo then and Sayre Sports doing battle, and I was hoping there that the Haas was not still entwined with the Mercedes. As a big dive bomb from the Alpine.
Mike Noon.
Optimistic to say the least. I'm not quite sure that was the most legitimate of moves to overtake about 4 cars into one corner, but
insane drama going on right now. Incredible races. It's like go-karts. All taking all sorts of different lines to make positions up. It's absolutely amazing. DRS is only now just being enabled, and Hickman's pitted. Oh, big crash! Mick Schumacher collided with somebody. He's going slap bang into the wall, and I'll be surprised if that's not a safety car. And it is another safety car.
I think that was more Marco losing it on the corner exit on his own. Yeah, the car just snapped to the right, it seems.
Well, we've seen that. That's the 3rd time that's happened in this race, isn't it? We had Blake Grills, Chris Johnson as well, although I think he might have collided with Mr. John perhaps. And then we've just seen it now with Mick Schumacher just totally losing it on the traction as they try and power through the corner.
Is that curb sparking away for you as well at turn 3 or 4?
If it is, I haven't noticed it, but that is a glitch that can happen in the game sometimes. If there's been a crash somewhere, the curb will start like glitching.
It's like
away.
A sparkler, yeah. But let's see, who's made pit stops?
Indecisive has not pitted.
Stereogram has not pitted. There's only 12 cars left in this race, and Kaya's not really there, so there's 11 cars in this race.
The battles have been incredible. They really have. There's just cars, that previous lap there, in that final sector, there was cars taking all different lines and getting a little bit feisty, but really I wouldn't say there was anything necessarily illegal. It just seemed like... Well, I mean, nothing really that caused the crash or anything, was there? Obviously, Schumacher crash, but that was independently. I suppose earlier on in the lap we did have that instance. I think Jacko and Theo might have collided, perhaps, I'm not entirely sure. But Indecisive comes into the pit lane, and Shepard's also coming in here. Jacko coming in as well, he might have damage. Wheelnut also coming in, of course, he collided with Stereogram, didn't he? Which caused all the chaos, with the first part of that chaos on that lap. And he's changed the front wing Wheelnut, so, well, he's going to need a fantastic final few laps if he wants to get himself in the championship hunt here by having a decent result in both races tonight. But Parser is looking good at the minute for the win, but let's not rule out Bazza as well. He's right there, and Sayers, of course. And, well, who knows, maybe even Mike Nguyen if he goes for some crazy dive bombs.
Which he may end up getting penalised for when the race is over.
Well, but, possibly. He does have a penalty right now. What is that penalty for? It's a 3-second penalty, is it? I think.
Theo's also picked up on his run to the queue behind the safety car. As has Wheelnut.
Well.
Okay, so I did say in qualifying they were making the most of the situation, but that's doesn't quite apply as much anymore. Chris Johnson's out with the race.
Chris Johnson's out. Yeah, and Bazet has hit the back of Parser. Obviously, with the new rules, obviously that would also be a penalty for Parser usually as well. But considering both cars are still going, I don't think anyone. I think Bazet might get that removed.
Well, it depends. If Bazet just drove into the back of him, then they don't get removed. But if I think we kind of leave them on now.
Was the instance in Spa when I think Mike Noon got hit, didn't he? But just like spun across the track. But I don't know. That one might go to the stewards, mightn't it? But
it'll probably go to the stewards. It's just a question of whether it will actually go further than that.
I'm gonna.
Oh well.
There's a surprise. There's a little bit more wheel banding going on there between Jacko and Theo Hickman, but at the front it's Parser who is still out ahead, and safety car's not coming in this lap. Another lap behind the safety car, and I think Bazet, I'm going to assume that Baz's penalty will get removed because there hasn't been any incidents it hasn't like caused any damage or anything. So I think Baza might get it removed.
I mean, I think even if it is his fault, I think he will get the penalty, because if it was a completely unnecessary collision caused by Baza, I think the penalty would stand, because it is just a big nuisance when you have to, like, you know, figure out who was ahead of who at the end of the race, you know, because of these 5-second penalties. Do they count, do they not? So I think we're taking a stricter stance on it now, and, you know, we're saying, well, did you need to hit the car ahead, yes or no?
Yeah.
But I haven't seen the incident, so it is quite possible that it will get removed. But of course, do check TGP Series on Twitter and on the website, of course, to check the latest standings, and you know, you can deduce what has happened throughout the round. But
we're still gonna have 4 laps to go then. Once this race gets back underway, it feels like a lot has happened, and still can't believe Craig Grylls had such a brilliant start, didn't he? Brilliant start. Managed to get the lead and then just dropped there as he was going through the right hand there. Such a shame for him. And well, with all the chaos that's been happening in this race, he will be watching us thinking, I could have been leading. I should be leading. Possibly might even be thinking.
I would say so too. I think, yeah, he should be certainly right up there. I mean, it depends on, you know, his on his race pace, but yeah, he should definitely be in the fight for this, as long as he kept it clean, which a lot of drivers haven't. It's been a race of attrition here. Obviously, we saw Blair Grylls have his moment. Mr. John involved in a big crash. Chris Johnson involved in, well, from the brief angle I saw, looked like a racing incident, and Mick Schumacher losing it out of the final corner, which is where Jacko crashed in qualifying. So it's a tough track to master. And speaking of things to master, Parsa has to work his way around this safety car restart. He'll be hoping to retain the lead of the race. He's done well
indeed
to be in this position. Just 5 laps to go when we get back underway.
Well, indecisive.
Decide to floor it.
He dropped it at the final corner, but I think Baza's already gone.
That's a lot better. Yeah, he saw that Baza was still weaving behind and took his opportunity to floor the throttle as Baza goes a bit wide. Mike Noon has a big tank slapper coming out of the final corner, but he's got to run on Sayer Sports. He's going to be too far back heading into turn 1, so this will not be an opportunity for the Alpine driver. Parsa's already a second clear, as Theo then does battle with Jacko, and well, the two of them not really wanting to give an inch to each other.
It's like a magnet, isn't it? It's unbelievable. Look, side by side through the S's, and well, that was always going to end up in an incident, quite frankly. It's just ridiculous. They constantly collide with each other. But anyway, at the front, you've got Sayer Sports trying to catch up to Baza here, but it's Mike Noon right on the back of him for 3rd place here. I have to say, by the way, totally missed it. Red Bull Kim is in a legitimate 5th place right now, although he is on old tyres and Jacko is going to catch up to him. But is Mike Noon going to have a run this time round on Joe Sayer?
Well, looks like Sayer Sports has a lot of straight line speed, and Theo has retired from the session, so that is his race done. But it does look like Sayer Sports has a lot of straight line speed, because Mike could have easily made the move into turn 11 at the hairpin, but opted not to. He wanted to get the run down the straight, but it didn't really work out for him. He didn't get the exit, or he just doesn't have the straight line speed to pass that Haas. So Sayer Sports then.
Oh, Wheelan's round!
Oh,
Wheelan's round again, and he's trying to get back through the field, and now he's gone for another spin. Just before that, Shep pulled off a fantastic move on Red Bull Kim. And Wheelan tried to get past Red Bull Kim as well, but dropped there. And now he's side by side with Stereogram there around that triple right hand there, but he gets away with it. But he's down in 9th place now. It's not good for him at all. 3 laps to go then. Jacko's going pretty quick right now. And Mike Noon also keeping Sayer Sports under pressure for that final podium place. But of course, he does have the penalty.
Worth pointing out that Jacko and M-Shep are the 2 drivers highest up with fresh, soft tyres. So Jacko then will have a great deal of pace. I don't think he has enough time left in the race, as Mike Noon then continues his battle with Sayer Sports, Joe Sayer in the Haas. And will he decide that this is the time he needs to make the move? Yes, he will. They do make contact. Oh,
And that's a big hit on the rear.
that is
and that'll be rear wing damage.
That's a robust rear wing from Alpine there, but
Yeah.
thankfully his car stayed a ghost when his teammate went through it. But Indecisive Mackie then doing battle with Red Bull Kim, and indeed he is passed. And
I think they made just the slightest of contact there, Mike Newton and Joe Sayer. But Mike Newton had just deployed the ZRS and just couldn't save the car, and just went for a big spin and a big hit into the wall. But he's still in the race. He will surely have rear wing damage though, without an absolute shadow of a doubt. But he might be able to work his way past Red Bull Kim here.
Well.
Red Bull Kim locked up in front of him. And Wheelock's going to go around to get back both of them. That's when he tried to pass Red Bull Kim on the previous lap and spun. This time, he overtakes 2 cars around there.
Fantastic helicopter shot of that. You could just see that Mike Newton backed out of it when he realised his wing was damaged and he was going to understeer it clean into the side of the Mercedes. But Daniel P. Wheelock then, he could still be on for a top 6 after all of his adventures and trials and tribulations in this race, as Jacko and M-Shep is going with him. M-Shep does have some penalties. Jacko does not at the moment anyway, and he's currently in P4, hunting down Joe Sayer in the Haas. It was it has been a fantastic drive from the Haas driver to be in the podium position, but I don't know if he's going to hold on here. He's going to have he's got quite the ask, because DRS has been enabled this lap, and I can't imagine he's going to be able to put up too much of a fight.
Yeah, this is surely going to be an hour where Jacko will deploy that DRS, and he's deploying the ZRS as well. And you would assume, go for the move here. He's got Shep catching up as well. I wonder what Shep might do. Might he fancy getting involved? Jacko pulls out to make the move, breaks for the corner into turn 12, and is into 3rd place ahead of Joe Sayer. But can Joe Sayer fight back? We've seen a few overtakes already in this race around this corner. If he can get a good run and possibly flick to the left, but no, he's too far back there. And Jacko's gone very deep, in fact, though, and he's actually off the track. And Joe Sayer nearly had a chance, but now Shep's going to go for 4th place, is he? Charles De Verstappen there, cutting across that bit of the track. But at the minute, it stays Jacko 3rd, Joe Sayer 4th, Shep 5th.
Yeah, it wasn't probably not the wisest decision from Shep there to take that inside line, compromising his speed, compromising his race by running wide at the final corner, picking up another 3-second penalty. Sayer Sports, he's going to be just outside of DRS. He's got the whole S section to go, so I think Jacko on the road at least is looking pretty good for a podium position, as we see Stereogram and Red Bull Kim battling for P8. This would be quite a good result for the two of these drivers. Stereogram tries to go around the outside and nearly ends up in Arizona, so Red Bull Kim will not retain P8 because Stereogram had the quicker exit. Not entirely sure about the legality of that, but that may be one of the
look at Shep going for a big dive bomb here on Joe Sayer, and he's made it work. And I think he's actually going to get the DRS now as well, won't he? Which will allow him to pull away. But can Sayer Sports get the slipstream and deploy a ZRS, and maybe will he fancy a dive bomb straight back? I wonder. They both got penalties. I think Joe Sayer has only got the one though. Shep's got 2. Well, Shep's got 3 actually now.
Yeah.
So it's maybe not end of the world stuff really for Joe Sayer, and he'll still presumably keep that 4th place. But we've got Jacko here closing in on Bazza, and Bazza is closing in on Parser as well. Now, can Jacko on these fresh softs? Maybe he can win this. And actually, I wonder if Bazza might let Jacko through. Perhaps they are teammates.
They are teammates, and by the looks of things, Bazza doesn't really have the pace to fight with Parsa. Jacko is the more likely of the two to win the race. Now let's see, this will be the perfect opportunity to let him by. Bazza is derating. Will he just decide to run a little bit deep into turn 1? No, Bazza wants this win. Bazza clearly feeling that his penalty is not deserved, and I think we have a bit of a crash in the back. I think that was actually for Indecisive Mackie at the penultimate corner, which brings Stereogram into his clutches as Bazza's that
gone off.
Looked like a mistake to me, because if he was going to let him through, he would have done it on the main straight. So Bazza then, with a mistake, and it lets Jacko up into P2.
And he's flying in that first sector on those soft tyres. Parser's tyres are 10 laps old now, and Jacko's going to get DRS. And Parser's got 10% of VRS. Jacko 30%, and DRS is about to be deployed as well. You'd think he's probably going to go for the move here.
He's going to have to now. What will Parsa do? How will he decide to do this? And well, he tried to defend the inside, but left enough of a gap to let Jacko squeeze on through. And Jacko then he's a little bit slow on the apex, doesn't quite enable Parsa to get the switchback that he wanted. And he's trying to squeeze through a bike. A motorbike will struggle to fit through, and it's not going to work out for the Ferrari driver. He tried to go down the inside just there, but again, there was not enough of a gap as Jacko has a big moment. Jacko's had a wobble. Parsa is back through. Parsa kept it composed, and Jacko only has 2 more corners to make it count, and I don't think he's going to have the run. I don't think he's going to have the momentum. So Parsa then, against the odds on that final lap, is going to take a fantastic victory in Texas.
Wow, what a finish. Jacko on those 6-lap-old soft tyres was the guy who actually made the error. Had the problem into the corner, and Parsa just swept on back through. Reminds me a little bit of what happened to Rosberg in 2015 there. And Parsa takes a fantastic victory for Ferrari. Bazza finishes 3rd if he doesn't get the penalty removed, but Joseph falls Shep in 5th. Wheelnut 6th, and is indecisive and Stereogram side by side across the line as well.
It was a bit of an opportunistic move from Stereogram at the final corner. But Indecisive Mackie got him on the exit anyway. And let's see, driver of the day is Jacko. I think he may have a trip to the stewards after this race. Not saying anything was his fault, but I think he was involved in some incidents, but we'll have to see how that pans out. But, well, up until the final lap, in terms of his pace anyway, he was looking pretty good, and he was making up for that qualifying error. But in the end then, in the race of attrition that we had, it was Parsa who took the race win.
Yeah, brilliant race. Can't believe that finish. Crazy finish to that race then. Literally being decided in the very final sector.
Yeah, not normally a place you see race wins decided. But,
yeah.
Well, that was an interesting one, a very, very hectic one. We had 9 finishers in the end. Out of the 17 that, the 16 that started. So Jacko took the fastest lap then. Just about got a clean enough lap in on those soft tyres when M-Shep and Wheelnut could not quite make use of it. But good result there for Red Bull Kim. P7, 0 penalties. Didn't quite have the pace in the race, but he kept it clean, and that's all he needed to do, because it meant that he could jump ahead of Indecisive Mackie at the end of that race, and Stereogram. So well done to Red Bull Kim. But I think I'll give my driver of the day to Parsa on that one.